Hello and welcome to Reasons Are Debatable, where we look at one topic from many angles and offer bad advice that you didn't know you needed. My name is Matt.
I am Neil.
How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I just want to start by apologizing to all of our listeners.
All our fans.
All our fans that we did not put out an episode last week. It was Neil's fault.
Pretty much. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, you were almost done with the whole show. And then I was able to pull you back.
A full week of trying to convince me. You said, just let's do it one more time and see how it goes.
Yep. So this is it. We'll see how it goes.
This is it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
A little bit of self-promotion to get out of the way. I mean, I guess this is our podcast, so it's all self-promotion.
Mm-hmm.
But
good points.
But I was on an episode that I think is coming out this week. This is releasing Wednesday. This episode I think is going to release Tuesday, so it should already be out. And that is a little special episode of 7 Days a Geek, where we're talking about the making of the Mandalorian documentary that came out like a month or so ago, and we're covering episodes 5 through 8. Go listen to that, 7 Days a Geek. We might be doing a little more frequent podcasting.
Oh, shit.
Because we're going to fill that massive void that is the Star Wars podcasting world. There's just not enough of those podcasts, so we might...
The what? Star Wars?
Yeah, Star Wars.
What's that?
It's this... it's a really small-time, independent... series of movies that were released. You probably have never even heard of them, so I'm not surprised. But we're gonna bring those to light so that people understand them a little bit more.
Well, I think that's good because it would be ridiculous to do like let's do a Star Trek podcast that. I've heard
that would be dumb.
That would be weird.
But support independent film programs like Star Wars.
I like it. I just started, or I should say, we just started watching The Mandalorian.
You did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is great to hear. I'm glad to hear you finally jumping onto something on the Disney Plus.
Yep. It's good. Well, I'm going to check out Hamilton too, obviously.
Well, later this summer, I guess. Is that what season we're in?
I don't have any idea.
We are going to, as kind of a build, we're going to cover The Mandalorian with Jay and Cole. I'm going to cover The Mandalorian season 2, but we're going to do a little review of season 1 as kind of the build up. So if you don't get enough of watching the actual show, want to listen to three guys talk about the show.
Oh no, I'll check it out, but I'm going to wait till I'm done with season 1.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea. So so that will be coming out as well. And the making of documentary is really interesting, by the way, because they cover all sorts of, like all the new technology that they've pushed, the way they've tied back into the old series. It's really interesting. So
yeah, and I am a big fan of the documentary, especially about stuff like behind the scenes on movies or music or things like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of roundtable discussions with the people involved, but they just show you a lot of stuff that's really, I don't know, I think it's worth the time.
Do you think if you ever go to one of those meetings and the table is square that you feel like you kind of got left out? You're like, oh, I guess we're like at the little kids table.
Only if you're on the corner.
Right.
Otherwise, you feel fine. You feel like, I can imagine.
Right in your sternum.
Exactly. I can imagine. It's like when you get set at a table that's too small and you have to have that little corner spot at the end where your knees hitting the fucking leg of the table.
I was going to say, or it's one of those fold out tables or like the 6-foot plastic tables, party tables, whatever they're called, where your knees are, they couldn't have you straddle the freaking leg. Your knee is taking one out. And then every time you move, you knock everybody's water.
Right.
Yeah.
And it gets very confusing on who's,
don't even get me started with that. Whose plate is what? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Neil, let me ask you this.
Please do.
It's summertime.
Summertime.
Now that we've established that.
Okay.
It doesn't feel like it necessarily, but it is. And we can't exactly fly anywhere. So I was wondering, do you like road trips?
I love road trips. I was made to drive, baby.
Well, because you guys nowadays, you used to, you've done some recently, like that Tahoe and Reno trip fairly frequently. What is that? Is that like 6 hours or something, or 5 hours?
Oh, no. Geez, it's Tahoe is just under 2 hours. Reno's about 2.5. It's not bad at all.
Why did I think it was so much farther?
No, because we're a bit closer now. When we lived like in the last end, Petaluma or Santa Fe, that carved almost an hour off of the trip. However, it's a little, maybe you're thinking because I have to get up, drive the dogs an hour the wrong way.
Maybe.
Drive back, then we go.
There was a point where I was going to meet you in Reno for your birthday one year. And then we talked about, if I flew into Sacramento and blah, blah. And I thought for some reason the whole thing was going to take like at least 3 or 4 hours.
That was probably with the dogs. That's probably what I said.
Maybe that's confusing. Clearly my geography sucks. But anyway, you guys, you used to do that. And then of course you've come up to meet me and Eugene several times. And hopefully again this fall. But do you guys take any other big road trips? Like, because I know you guys always do your Jamaica trip, but are there any other road trips you guys usually take in the last 10 years?
We've done Portland a couple times.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
When we met.
That's right. And I've done Portland on my own to see my sister.
I should have joined you for that, but I was busy.
We together, aside from that, we used to go, and it was about a 4-hour trip when we adopted our dog Zero. He was at a rescue that was about 4 hours away, heading east from the coast in California. And we did that, I think, almost every other weekend. And we would go just hang out with him for half an hour and come back home.
Yeah.
But Annalise and I haven't done any super long road trips aside from that, just simply because when we do that, we're usually doing the Tahoe Reno thing.
Right. And you save all your vacation time for Jamaica.
That's it. And but I love the road trip. I don't mind driving at all. And I like being on the road. Me and the road, baby.
I was going to say, so are you more of a jam it right in there, stop, no stops, just blast through? Or are you like a guy who likes to stop and see shit?
Depends on the road trip. I'm typically, I just like to get to where I'm going if the destination is the point, meaning that if it's not like, oh, let's drive and see the state, but I want to go, like for you, I want to go to get to see you and hang out with you. I don't need to spend more time on the road and then less time with you.
But isn't life about the journey, Neil?
Well, but I like the journey. I just don't need to stop and enjoy it that much. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, when it comes to those road trips, I guess there's good in both ways, because, you do road trips with people, and then, of course, the ones you do solo. And the solo ones I actually enjoy as well, just because, and I think you've mentioned this too, it's a really great time to, listen to music you want to listen to, podcasts, think. Mm-hmm. It just gives you a really great opportunity to kind of decompress with yourself. And it's something that just seems so hard to accomplish these days. Like, I rarely have that much alone time. So it's kind of a cool opportunity to do that sometimes.
For sure. And aside from like the radio, if you're listening to it, you can't.
The radio?
I know.
What's that?
You shouldn't be, I don't know. You shouldn't be like on your phone or online or anything like that. So there really is one of the few times you can really unplug.
Right. Till we get those driverless cars, and then it's
that's right.
Fucking all out the window again.
Then the freaking road trips, yeah. Then it's
gonna suck Amazon balls. Shit you're gonna buy on a road trip.
Oh my God. I know, I'm gonna go broke.
Saving money on not flying, but spending.
But it is a nice break from everything, and just to kind of. Now, I'm not a fan of the road trip if you're stuck in traffic for freaking 8 hours. No. Those like I do Tahoe and Reno, but we won't do them on like a super busy weekend if we're stuck coming back on a Sunday afternoon in the snow, and it's going to take 8 hours to do a 2-hour drive.
Yeah. No, that sucks balls.
Yeah.
I am much more of a Clark Griswold type guy.
Mm-hmm.
I am a roadside attraction guy all the way. So whenever I go anywhere, I'm always looking at the map and going like, well, what's nearby? What's within like a 30-minute offshoot to go and see? So I do that shit all the time. I mean, I remember coming down, and I think I've mentioned it to you years and years ago when I came down to, what's that town called now? I'm forgetting the name of it. It's near Napa. It's one of those towns up on that kind of wine strip.
Sonoma, Yountville?
Yountville, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Went down to Yountville for a wedding and had to stop. Went down 101, which takes for fucking ever.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And especially in Oregon, where you're going through all these little coastal towns. It's like 25 miles an hour. Yeah. So it seems like a good idea. And you're like, it's only this many miles.
Mm-hmm. No.
Slow going.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And you could see all the stuff and the ocean, it's beautiful coastline. And then, and then I was stopping at like the fucking trees of mystery and shit and the redwoods and driving through a redwood tree and all that bullshit. Like, I actually enjoy doing that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's like this weird check it off the list kind of thing. It's certainly not for the selfies and the Instagram, account. It's more just
right.
like to experience these things. It's kind of cool to see all this stuff, because otherwise you're just driving down I-5 and there's nothing. You're just looking at nothing. And so that's why I've always felt like a road trip, especially to an area where you've never been before, is such a really good opportunity to see these kind of funny things, whether they be goofy things like the trees of mystery or really cool like landscapes and views and mountains and whatever else. So I've always been on that side of like wanting to see everything when we go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I would be as in depth as you are about it, but even when we do
my lady friend doesn't either.
even when we do like the Reno and Tahoe, like if there's a Vista Point or something cool to see, we'll stop, but we're not going to spend hours there. It's kind of like, okay, cool. And even when I drive to see you, especially sometimes in the middle of nowhere on I-5, as the sun is coming up, there's some really beautiful views. So I'll stop and appreciate those, just the sun coming up over the plains.
Right.
And obviously going over Shasta and stuff like Shasta. Yeah. stuff like that.
Sometimes you have to pull off just to cry.
Got fees between. Yeah, it's true. Shasta, Fiji. I didn't know which freaking mountain I'm driving over.
Mount Fuji. No.
Fuji.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Fiji
that's not
water.
The one. That's not the one. Have you ever done huge road trips? Like I'm talking over. Now people are going to laugh and say, you can call that huge? We're used to that. But
Yeah.
but like over 1,000 miles.
Yes. Yeah. I've done a cross country.
Did you? Where'd you go? From where to where?
Ohio and back.
Well, that's not quite a cross country.
Ohio's a lot farther east than you think it is.
It is.
You only have one more state to go.
You basically had like one more day of driving.
Not even one more day. You got. Pull it up.
I've made the drive. I've made the drive.
Pull it up.
I've made the drive.
Fucking pull it up.
I guess you can get there in about a half a day ish. Because when I made a cross country trip going the other direction, that was the first stop. Was for the night was Columbus. So,
okay.
So stopped in Ohio and then went from there. But yes. So why?
I loved it. I go check out Ohio State University.
Oh,
But
okay.
I loved it. Just driving, just fun, man.
How'd you go then? Did you go 70, 80? Do you remember? Like
80.
which 80? Okay. Interesting. Because I was looking. So when I went to make that trip, it was with a former girlfriend. And it was we were going to go 90. So we went out, stopped in Columbus and then went like, I think we got to like Indiana. Then we were going to bust up to 90. And then we get this report that it's like, the weather's shit. This is like 2001. The weather's shit and 90's closed on parts of 90. Because I wanted to go up like where the Badlands are. I actually kind of did want to see Mount Rushmore. I'm ashamed to say.
Well, no, I mean, irregardless of your feelings
Right.
about who's on it, it's still something to behold.
Right. I did want to see it. So, but then when we found that out, I was like, well, shit. So then we looked at 80. But then I thought, well, because 80 goes through like Wyoming and shit, right? Wyoming and shit. That's what it says.
Those fucking
I-80,
places.
Wyoming and shit. So went down and bucked down 70, went into Missouri, and then went across Kansas, which is so picturesque.
Yes.
It is like...
Is this still Kansas?
Your visibility is like 9,000 miles. I feel like you can see the Pacific Ocean while you're...
Nebraska's a bit like that too.
Yeah, very flat.
You'll have like... they had big sod farms on the side of 80 in Nebraska for some reason, if I remember it correctly. And I just remember like what felt like hours. And I'm like, this is still the same guy. How much sod are these people selling? What is going on?
It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, I guess it does.
So that's where it's all grown. Yeah, I had been to Kansas many times because my mom's family's from there. And so ended up going through there, stopped, and it's bumfuck, like middle of Kansas. So you're going through Kansas, you go through like almost dead middle on 70, and then you turn south about, I think it's like 30 miles or so. And her town is down there. It's called Hoisington. It's a tiny, tiny little town. It's probably like 3,000 people. Maybe it's even 2,000 now. It's really small. So we go down there, and part of the reason was, well, one to see the town again, but also they had just had, and I might tell you this, but they just had a tornado hit like the day before. Oh, geez. So we go rolling into town. Of course, we're videotaping like the whole trip and shit as we go. And shit again. God, I've been off mic for a few weeks. Sorry. But we go into the town, and it was an F4 tornado, and it just ripped the shit out of this town. Especially like it wiped out the Dairy Queen.
Oh no!
Which, by the way, this town has like 2 places to eat, so that was a huge deal. And the Dairy Queen was the better one.
Right. You needed a reservation for that.
Yeah. The kids were having their prom that night when it happened, when it hit. And it's one of those where, it comes out of nowhere, drops, the siren goes off, it rips everything up for, like a mile, and then it's done.
And it goes away.
So when we were coming into town, she's filming, I'm driving, and you look out to the side, and there's just this neighborhood just gone. I mean, just completely flat and gone.
So it looked like the rest of Kansas.
Hey now. You're coming through, and all of a sudden I was like, you see all these people going through their belongings and stuff? And there's a point on the video, I think I still have it somewhere, where you hear me go, maybe we should stop filming. This is a little inconsiderate. I feel like a bullshit TV crew. Look at this. Hey, what'd you lose? You know? Is everybody alive? That kind of thing. I think only one person passed away, but But it was weird to see that much damage to a place. And then I went over to where like my grandma's house was. She was not there at the time. It was like one little piece of the panel off her roof fell off. That was it. It's just so specific.
It is a trip in tornadoes where it's like one house in between two is just gone, and the two houses on the side have like really no damage, no broken windows, no nothing.
It's like a surgical strike.
How did
It's so weird. It's bizarre.
Well, I believe it. I think tornadoes are created by the government.
Oh,
they're that's drones. Why they're so that's why they're targeted.
Tornado drones.
Yeah. They go and hit the houses of people that wear masks.
I'm on board. I think that's right. The people that wear masks. You got a mask on? Done. Pass over that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was gonna say. So, where was the rest? What was the rest of your route? You went Ohio. You went through Nebraska. You went through Wyoming and shit.
Mm-hmm. And then
Idaho.
Yeah, Nevada.
At some point, where do you cut down?
Nevada.
Oh, Nevada. Okay.
Through Idaho to Nevada, and then
Gotcha.
you cut down Nevada, and then it's pretty much the Reno Tahoe trip.
Yeah.
Home.
Well, one of the things we did too on that trip was we stopped at. Have you ever been to Arches National Park in Utah? Mm-hmm. Have you ever been through Utah?
No. I've always wanted to go to Utah to mountain bike, and I never made it.
Oh, fuck, man. Utah is crazy. It's like, I want to see every landscape in the United States. Okay.
Yeah. Here, go to Utah.
we got it.
Yeah.
It was so weird driving through there.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, and obviously pictures I've looked at in my encyclopedias are just astounding.
Well, we went to the Arches National Park is really cool. It's near the town of Moab, which is like mountain bike fucking central.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So everybody there had their mountain bikes out and were, swinging it around. But that was cool. And so that's just the kind of stuff you get to see on these trips that you just never have a chance to otherwise. And it seems like so many of our trips, especially since our kids have been born and stuff, are, aside from going up to Seattle or something like that, or so we've made a couple trips down to the Bay Area. But that's kind of it. Like you're usually flying, and of course it's convenient and it got a lot cheaper, although who knows what'll happen in the future. Mm-hmm. But you just miss out on some of these side steps that you can take and see this cool stuff that you would never see before. And I just love road trips. I'm always a huge fan of it. Whenever it came, like when we were going to go to Disneyland back in, but under the gun,
right
before everything shut down, I joked with my lady friend about it. I was like, if we could drive. Because and she's like, no. Back in the day when with my family, we would take a 2-day trip down to Disneyland every other year. It was fucking awesome. I think I talked about that on the Disneyland episode.
That's my feeling about like doing Vegas. Like I had no problem driving to Vegas.
How far is that from you?
Oh, I want to say it's like 12 or 13 hours.
Oh man, it's that far?
Yeah, it's far.
Okay.
I'll double check it, but I remember because I did do a road trip with my friends to Primm, Nevada, which is I think still a couple hours away from Vegas. You can see the lights of Vegas off in the distance.
Really?
Primm is like this tiny little town that has 2 huge casinos, and it's right on the flat. So a lot of like kite bugging and whatever people do on the flats go and do.
Sure.
But it's weird because, when you figure it out with gas and everything, especially from here to fly to Vegas, they always have so many specials and it's so cheap that it actually costs more money to drive.
Yep.
Plus you're losing 2 days, right? Although
saving money potentially
because
you're not blowing it.
Vegas gets old quick. So
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like I love road trips. That just set me up, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. We need to do one. We need to do a traveling podcast road trip.
There we go.
We've done several, where like when I've gone back east, that's what we do. When we go to, we fly into either Boston or DC and then we just make our way up the coast. And that's cool because you get to, you see a lot of the Northeast and man, you're blowing through states like nobody's business. You talk about being stuck in Nebraska forever or Kansas forever.
Right.
Not in the Northeast. It's like, another state. Boom, boom, boom. You just check off all the fucking states off your list.
It's always interesting, like reading books or listening to audiobooks when they're like, got on a train on this state, went to that state and was there in 2 hours. And you're like, what are you talking about?
That's impossible.
How does that work? You can't do that.
I can't remember who it was, but some family friend of ours, whenever we would talk about, when I was living back on the East Coast, and whenever we'd say, oh yeah, from Oregon, like, oh, you're out there in those big square states out west. Yep, big square states.
You're like, oh, okay then.
That's how you want to refer to them, dick.
Those square states.
Well, we were supposed to actually this summer. We were supposed to make a trip up to Canada to see our friends.
That's right.
How was your week, honey? The Myers. But then Canada went and closed the goddamn borders. Thanks a fucking lot, Canada.
Canada got smart. They're
Yeah.
like, we don't need you people.
Dude, we got masks.
Yeah.
Goalie masks, but
We
they're
got
masks.
Yeah.
They should let us in for sure then.
Show up with a snorkel.
I did a short road trip once when I was living in Seattle. It was my buddy's bachelor party, and we went up to Whistler. You ever been up to Whistler?
Nope.
So Whistler's really cool. We went up it was like April or May, so it wasn't ski season. It was, it was more like chill season, I guess. I know what they mountain bike
It was
season,
more
I guess.
April or May season.
It was April or May season. I think they do a lot of mountain biking up there as well because
They do.
My buddy has done that. We went up there and it was funny because I had like a total like blonde moment. If that's not too offensive.
No, not at all.
I'm sitting there. I'm not driving. My buddy Matt's driving. I'm just casually like, paying sort of a little bit of attention, but not a lot to the distance signs.
Okay.
And at one point I'm like, man, we are fucking flying. And he's like, what? And I said, man, we are. I was trying to like, give him some credit. We're just like moving along. He goes, you realize that's kilometers, right?
You're like, son of a bitch.
Yes, of course I do.
Of course I do. What are you talking about?
We're still flying.
There's a road sign not too far from us that has a town in Maryland. So it's like Sacramento, 25 miles.
Oh, right.
Whatever. Then it's Maryland. It's like 3,278. And I just love that sign. I just think it's the coolest thing.
There's one in, is it Newport? On
Maine?
the coast? No, on the coast here in Oregon. I think it's Newport, or maybe it's Tillamook. I can't remember. I think it's Newport. But there's a sign that says, because the highway runs all that way, Boston, Massachusetts, like 2,722 miles. Yeah, same deal. It's kind of
same
funny.
thing. It's kind of neat. I like it.
We should do that highway sometime. It would probably only take us 3 weeks to get to Boston.
We'd be fine.
Have you ever had any like scary moments on a road trip where like not near death necessarily, but like you're overly tired or whatever, or some like close scrape? Because I know you've obviously had close scrapes just riding your motorcycle around locally,
freaking hanging
or riding
out.
your whatever your. I almost said dirt bike, your mountain bike.
Mountain bike.
But have you ever had any of those on a road trip?
Yeah, a couple. One was I drove from the Bay Area in California to Bend, Oregon, to drop somebody off and back in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way back, I started falling asleep while driving. And I got to like off the shoulder, not off the shoulder, but onto the shoulder. And the woke me up. And then after that, I was fine because I was like, holy
all
shit.
Jittery. Sometimes you do that. You get the jittery moment. And then you eventually you sink back into it again. You're like, how can I sink back into it again? I almost died. When you did that, do you remember how you went? Because I was just in that vicinity. Did you go down like 97 or up and down 97, or did you cut over to I-5 and do that the whole way?
I think we did I-5 the whole way.
Because 97 is like a lot of 2-lane road and a lot of fucking trucks. So many trucks.
And so the other time was doing the cross-country trip from Ohio. One rig cut off another rig, and there was almost a giant rig explosion.
Oh, Jesus.
It was in front, and it was far enough in front to where I could have stopped. So it wasn't that, but it was just that feeling of like, oh my God, this is going to be a freaking mess. Mm-hmm. And I believe that they did touch, but the rig wasn't like, I just don't even think the one rig even knew the other rig was anywhere around. I mean, they're usually pretty good about communicating with each other. I mean, hand signals or whatever they do.
Right.
And I think he just leaned against them and then went back. So it wasn't like he cut a hard left and, but it was freaky because I'm like, understanding the physics of vehicles a little bit, I'm like, oh, if he loses the back end of that rig, they're both done.
So they were driving by each other, or was the guy passing him?
It looked like the guy in the fast lane was passing,
okay, gotcha.
And I guess the guy in the slow lane needed to get over because maybe he was going to pass somebody. But it's not like the rig passing him was freaking flying,
Yeah, right.
Maybe going. I mean, it's one of those watching rigs pass each other. Sometimes it's like watching two snails freaking race for a piece of cheese or something. You're like, are either of you moving? What is going on?
Can one of you go quicker? Yeah, whenever you get stuck behind one of those passing somebody else, you're like, oh my God, it's going to take forever. Mm-hmm. What's interesting too is like when I was just out driving there's some stretches, and it was on 97 where the wind just went and the whole 18-wheeler fucking slid like 4 feet to the right. So I was wondering if that maybe happened to the guy.
Oh, maybe. You know what? It could have been. I don't remember seeing lights. I guess just in my head, I just thought that he decided to go. I wasn't really paying attention to the wind.
Gotcha.
The wind in my hair.
Well, my buddy Josh, speaking of Shasta, he drove down there. God, I think we were in college. No, we were there. It was either late college or sometime early mid-20s. But he left. It must have been college because he left from the Eugene, as you like to say, and was driving down to Shasta. And he went after work, so it was late. And he was only, he was going to get in at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something. And he was so fucking exhausted. So he's driving down there, and he would like go, "Oh, I got to pull off," and just like sleep in my car somewhere. So he'd pull off, and he'd kind of wake up on the off ramp. Like, well, shit, I guess I go a little further. And he did that like 3 times. The next thing you know, he wakes up. It's like 6 a.m. He's pulled. He's in his car, has pulled off some off ramp, and is like pulled over. But he did that completely on fucking autopilot. Yeah. Doesn't remember doing it.
Wow,
that is scary, scary shit. Because I mean, as much as they always say how sleepy driving can be almost as bad as drunk driving because you're just so out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of, it's amazing how your body and brain want to keep itself alive. So something in there was going, yeah, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Autopilot. I got you.
But that's kind of like what it is when if you black out drunk. You're like, how did I function? Like your body just knows what to do. Well, it'll say and do stupid stuff a lot of times.
Yeah.
But it'll still somehow function.
Hopefully you're a good person so you don't do a bunch of bad stuff when you black out.
That's when the AI kicks in.
That's it.
See? Body AI. I don't know.
Also known as Bay.
Bay. Are you as perplexed as I am by rest stops?
Yeah.
Do you ever go in one? I can't imagine you ever go near one.
I will if I really have to pee, but it's just the pee.
Yeah.
And I don't wash my hands.
Yeah.
I don't touch anything in there.
You got shit in the car for that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But why are there so many people there?
I don't know. I mean, I get the big ones that have like the truckers because, but the other one, I don't know. And why does it seem like some of those people are there like hanging out?
That's what I mean. They're there a long time. It's not like I need to let the dog out to piss and have my kids go. They're like hanging out.
Now, I will say I've been to some rest stops that like have stuff for people to do. Like they have a full dog run and a swing set. And then I'm like, I guess it is a real rest stop. But I don't understand the ones that are pretty much just toilets and like a large map of you are here and like a candy machine, a candy bar machine and a pop machine.
Get your soda pop.
And people are just like hanging out.
Well, and even when they have a little bit of open field and grass there and stuff, to give you some room to roam, I just still don't get it. I feel like every time I go to a rest stop now, it is loaded with people.
Well, like some of them have picnic tables, and there are people sitting there eating on the picnic table.
Why would you do that? That's disgusting.
I understand.
I would rather eat in my car.
If you're maybe doing one of those stretches in Nebraska where there's nothing and you're just freaking, I would too, starving. But it's like wherever you got the food, even if it's a grocery store, sit in the parking lot or go to the McDonald's or whatever and, eat there. I don't get these people.
It's baffling to me. And I can't remember. I think we may have talked about it on the show when it happened. Did I tell you that story I told you the story about the old guy, right?
Which old guy?
So I'm driving up to, I think I was driving up to Seattle from Portland or back. I can't remember which. Had the kids with us. We had to stop. They had to go. Because my younger guy is like every fucking 10 miles. Gotta pee. I'm like, on our most recent one, we left the town and within 10 minutes, he's like, I gotta pee. Like, okay. So we pulled over and peed. And before we got to the next town, which was only like 20 minutes away from the previous town, he's like, gotta pee again. Like, how? You just vacated it all. And I stood there and watched you because we're pulling to the side of the road and just having a pee. I watched you stand there for like a minute and a half, so I know it all came out.
That's too funny.
Like, is your bladder like this fucking tall? Is it like the size of a,
Or you just don't know. He just freaking pounds water. You just don't see him. He's like, I'm going to show that son of a bitch. You want to get somewhere in time?
We're not getting there.
No.
Slow this shit down.
It's got a saline drip back there.
So I take him to the rest stop. I think I did tell you this story, so apologies to anybody if I've told it on the show. But we went to go to the bathroom. Lady friend stays in the car. Maybe she went and came back to the car, whatever it was. And I feel bad for women that have to go in those toilets. Mm-hmm. But we go to pee. We're coming back. And, of course, picnic tables. Random people sitting at picnic tables. There's an old guy sitting at a picnic table by himself. And my younger son goes around to the right. And I think he sees him. My older son goes around to the left and kind of, they're not within 10 feet of him. But they kind of split him and went around both ways. And then the older one said something to the younger one, and it just fucking scared the living shit out of this guy. He's like, "Bah!" Like starts freaking out. And he starts yelling at them for scaring him.
Oh,
So then I have to be like, I got to kill an old guy now. So I
Right.
start yelling, I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? Because, I'm a tough guy.
right.
He's just screaming about nonsense. I'm like, why don't you shut the fuck up? So, like an idiot. I get over to the car and this woman goes, in the car next to us goes, just so you know, I don't think that guy's all there. I was like, oh, shit,
you
I guess I
think?
should feel bad now.
Yeah.
The reaction, I wish I had it on video. He jumped like a ghost came from behind him. He just
Yeah.
freaked the fuck out. These are the kinds of people that you encounter
That
at
are
rest
sitting
stops.
at rest stops. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you have a favorite road trip movie? Because I got to say,
Oh.
Vacation's pretty tough to beat, but there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. I never really
Smokey and the Bandit.
thought about this. Yeah. Oh, I would have to say Smokey and the Bandit. If that's considered a road trip for me, that would probably be it.
That or Cannonball Run, car guy.
Right. Cannonball Run. I would probably take Smokey and the Bandit first, just because for some reason Cannonball Run, it's like the Fast and Furious of road trip movies.
Totally. Yes.
So I think the emotional depth that Smokey and the Bandit has is really what brings it out.
I would imagine that if that movie is 90 minutes, probably 62 minutes of it is not something that would be appropriate in this day and age.
No. But
I liked Vacation a lot. I was thinking about it when we were bringing this topic, and I was trying to think of all the ones that are out there, and I thought Dumb and Dumber is a pretty funny one.
that's a good one.
That's got a great one when he's trying to. Have you ever peed while driving?
While drive, no. I've stopped and peed in a bottle, but stopped. I can't.
Yeah,
Dude, I can't.
it's hard.
It's so small to maneuver that thing around that it's just going to come
Not
straight
the bottle.
up. Right. Yeah, it's just going
Isn't
to
it
come
just like
straight
putting
up.
a syringe in a bottle? Like it's pretty easy, right?
Well, that's the sad thing is like it's just big enough to not. I mean, just wide enough to not make it easy.
You're like, no, it's not as long as a syringe.
No, yeah, no, that would be easy if I could just do that.
When I was a kid and we would make those trips to Disneyland, or we also made trips to Colorado as well. They brought, I think it's because my dad worked in the hospital business and he had one of those
Oh, the Go Johnnies or whatever.
yeah,
they're
like
called?
those plastic containers. So you just stick that thing under your junk and let her rip. Let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't driving, sure, but if I'm driving,
Yeah, driving's tough.
I couldn't do it. I mean, I'd try it in someone else's car, but
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna get my thing out, it should be for Roadhead, and I never got that. So
yeah, or to wake somebody up in the back seat.
wake somebody up. I actually drove cross country on that trip with my dick out the whole time and never was touched.
Nothing ever happened. Just sitting there.
I'm just letting you know it's there. It doesn't matter.
You just stare down on it every now and then.
You're looking kind of small. Let it sit in the sun. It'll stretch out a little bit. 18-wheelers are going by, just shaking their head.
Just you're by yourself. You're like, at least someone saw it.
Nobody in the car with me. Blow up doll next to me. He's gonna go to town on that thing tonight. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Fucking good
Could
road trip movie.
Airplane count as a road trip movie?
See, I think you got to be in the car. I was gonna ask if a
Air
train
trip movie?
counted.
See, I would think so.
Do you think that
Well,
counts
maybe-
as a road trip? That's a
I guess
rail
that's
trip.
a vacation or a traveling movie.
Yeah, that's a rail trip, not a road trip. I think you got to be in a
true.
car.
That makes sense.
That would make the most sense to me. But have you ever seen the Trip movies with Steve Coogan and Rob Brydon?
No.
They're really funny. You should check
Okay.
those out sometime. They go to like England and Spain and Italy, somewhere else I can't remember where, but those are good. Tommy Boy, it's got some good road scenes.
Is the what is it? Kumar and whoever goes to White Castle? Is that what that?
Do they have a road trip or is it just local?
I don't remember now.
I don't know if I ever saw those movies.
Yeah, I think there was a road trip because I know once they end up at George Bush's ranch in Texas, so they've got.
Oh,
to be
do they?
traveling somewhere? Yeah.
Well, then there was the one
Harold and Kumar. That's what it is.
I can hear Palmer screaming right now. The one that movie he likes so much, the Star Wars one, where they go to fucking Skywalker. What's that called? Fanboys.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
But I
that
don't
one,
know.
that's another
Yeah.
road trip. I don't know.
I don't know that. Yeah, whatever.
Well, that was all I had unless you had anything else.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
I love myself a road trip.
It's our first, well, that's the thing. Maybe one day we'll be able to do a little podcast. You have podcasted while road tripping. You guys fucking did a live broadcast on Mixler while you guys were driving to Tahoe once. Remember that?
Yeah, we did that. We've done a couple live on YouTube also.
Oh, have
Driving
you?
to
Oh,
Reno.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. It's a little tricky because you lose your connectivity and stuff. But,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
still
Especially in the mountains.
fun stuff. Oh, that's right. Of course you did YouTube because I remember watching they were like, you could see the video of you guys driving down the road. Now I remember that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Anyway, each week, Neil, I'm not sure if
Yes.
you're aware of this. We offer up some advice to a listener who has submitted a question. You can send questions to us at reasonsaredebatable@gmail.com or on Twitter at reasonsare.
Okay.
I have noticed, Neil,
Yeah.
that you basically have two approaches to these questions. You are either very considerate of the question asker and kind of take your time. Usually it involves shaving pubes. That's why you're being so
Right.
kind. Or you just fucking attack them. Like you're just appalled that they would even raise such a question and you just shit all over them. And I was curious about your approach because I was thinking, you know, if this was like a Dear Abby or a Penthouse Forum or whatever kind of environment, taking your tact would be pretty funny. Like, hey, I'm like Penthouse Forum. Like, I'm having some trouble in the bedroom with my wife. And hey, dumb fuck.
Yes.
What's your problem?
So I think what I do is I try to get in the head of the person asking the question.
And 9 times out of 10, they're a dick.
Pretty much. Yeah. Because I'm thinking if you're asking this question to perfect strangers, either you don't have good friends or family, you're really not that close with your spouse or your lover, and you don't have the wherewithal to ask a professional. So if you're coming to a podcast, then I think you kind of deserve it.
But that's the complete opposite. You're such a dick. When you reach out and tell people, ask us anything, we'll be happy to help you. And then you immediately say, why the fuck are you asking us something?
No.
No,
I say,
not you.
Ask us. Oh, yeah. I say, ask us. And I'm like, okay, not me. I say, ask us anything. I've never said that I'd look forward to it. I'm just ask us anything.
Yeah, fine.
I'm going to answer it.
Yeah, you want to ask, you're going to get an answer. You're not going to like it.
Yeah. As I tell people all the time when they say, can I ask you something? I said, only if you really want to know the answer.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Rough crowd here.
I'm telling you. By the way, 9 hours and 21 minutes to get from our house to Vegas.
Our house to Vegas. Okay. God, that's
not bad.
Yeah,
Shorter
that's not,
than I thought.
That's not bad. Because I know that's like...
It's like going to see you.
It's like, yeah. Or it's like 6 hours from LA, I think, to Vegas, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit further than you think. Anyway, all that being said, we were a little light on questions this week.
Okay.
So, folks, no pressure. But, you know, send in your questions so you can get yelled at by Neil. We'll have to change the name of the segment to, what is it called? Take it from us to take it hard from Neil.
Hey, I give advice. I'm just sorry that people don't like it.
Yeah, you know, you're just tough love is what it is.
I'm just honest, man. Don't hate the player. Hate yourself for being so stupid.
Wow, that is rude. So I dipped into the professional ranks this week. You can shit all over these people because we don't know them and they didn't ask us. But I pulled a couple of questions for the next couple episodes from Amy. You're familiar with Ask Amy?
I'm absolutely 100% familiar with Ask Amy.
Okay. So I will share her response at the end, but I want to start with you and see what you think. This comes from Confounded by a Canine.
Okay.
3 months ago, I started dating a woman who has a dog she adopted from a shelter 10 years ago. I love dogs. Oh, boy. That's like saying,
I'm not racist.
I have many black friends.
Yeah.
There's a but coming.
Mm-hmm.
We often take, quote, Buster for walks. Now, Buster's in quotes. And do you think that means like people just put names in quotes like that? Or do you think they're protecting the innocent here?
I'm going to say protecting the innocent just in case his girlfriend reads and goes, wait a minute.
Well, the rest of the scenario is so specific. How would she not know?
That's what
you'll
this
hear.
Is what gets me about people that ask questions. They're just not very smart.
Stop asking questions.
Yeah, that's right.
In a public forum. But it was funny, by the way, side note. My lady friend's mom, whenever she like gives me a card for my birthday or something, it's in quotes. Matt. Like, Matt. What does that mean?
You're not really Matt.
I don't have a legit name?
You're a Matt. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. So we often take Buster for walks. He's cute, friendly, and well-behaved, but he has incredible separation anxiety and barks out of jealousy, not aggression, when I try to hold or kiss my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She spends the night at my apartment 2 or 3 nights a week and has to bring him because of his separation anxiety. But since her dog cannot physically be apart from her, he is up in bed with us. This makes me uncomfortable. Not you.
Not me.
Yeah, you love that shit.
Yeah. Oh, I thought because this guy jumped in bed with me.
No, you like that dog in your bed.
We do have one of our dogs pretty much sleeps with us all night, every night, under the covers with her head on the pillow.
That is interesting. I'll just leave it at that.
It's not right. I'm not. I never said it was right.
But
That's
it's
why
been
I don't
established.
ask advice about it.
It's been established now, so you can't go back. If he isn't allowed up, he digs at the carpet and barks until he's led up to bed, where he wants to lick her face and mine until he settles down. My girlfriend does nothing to discourage this behavior. I love spending time with her, but between being barked at, the dog in the bed, and having to listen to him lick her face for 3 minutes straight, I'm very put off. 3 minutes straight?
Yeah.
So disgusting. So here comes the question. I explained to her that I don't really want to kiss her after her dog has licked her mouth for 3 minutes. I wonder why. Maybe because he was licking his ass right before that, perhaps?
Maybe.
I don't know. Or with him in the bed between us where he growls at me. We love each other, but I'm at a loss for where to go from here.
I hope she breaks up with him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's more important. The dog's more important.
The dog was there first. Yeah. You can't be with a crazy dog person, crazy dog lover, crazy dog owner, whatever you want to call him, and not deal with that shit, man. That's why you got to find a person that's into it.
It's part of the deal.
And if this person isn't into it, then they're not even meant to be together.
That's a good point. I mean, he loves dogs.
Yeah.
Do you? Do you love dogs?
But this is nothing new. I mean, this dog was there and he was like, oh, and everything was fine. Now all of a sudden he wants to change the rules.
That's true.
All of a sudden, it's not like this happened like, oh, when we met, the dog was amazing and well-behaved and none of this stuff happened. And all of a sudden, she wants the dog in bed. And I don't think that's something that precedents we should set. No. Dog was there. Then you came along. The dog doesn't like you because you're a dick. If you were cool with what the dog was doing, the dog would be like, hey, this guy's cool.
It sounds like he's cool with the dog, except when he's trying to be intimate or lovey with his girlfriend. And then the dog's just like, nope.
Well, if he was a little bit more attentive to the dog, then the dog would give him a little break.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
Lived it.
I think, I was going to say, I think he should jerk off while she's getting licked for 3 minutes straight. I just think that there should be other action on the other side of the bed. That maybe, but then the dog will be all over that. And then
maybe he should start licking his girlfriend's face for 3 minutes and saying, well, you seem to like it so much.
Right. Or licking the dog's face. Let's just do a fucking triangle here.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, probably. By the way, did I tell you I kind of figured out my issue with dogs?
That they're breathing?
No.
Okay.
So I like dogs.
Oh no, here we go. Yeah, I'm not sold on that, but go on.
I think the issue I have, I was thinking about the other day, is the neediness factor. So like
I was thinking the other day about why I don't like dogs, and I came up with a reason.
And the reason is that I think there's a neediness there that I'm used to cats. And cats are like whatever.
Right.
They're pretty easy. Mm-hmm. The dogs need a lot more attention. That's just ingrained in their, nature. And so for me, I'm like, I already have 2 kids. Mm-hmm. I feel like I got a 3rd kid now. So I like the dog, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh my God, would you please stop? And can you not do that? And oh my God, so I get a lot of that action going on. I think that's where I tend to struggle with the dog. I'm just being honest here.
Hey, I that's great. Is there a question? Because I'd love to answer it.
No, just telling you. Okay, Amy's response.
No, it makes sense. You definitely don't seem like you like dogs.
Here's Amy's response.
Yeah.
Buster, which she puts in quotes also. God, why?
I don't know.
Do you think he sent her the real name and she changed it to Buster? Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Buster has been with your girlfriend for much longer than you have. Ooh.
Call me Amy.
You're like Amy. Because dogs are pack animals. They're hardwired to never be alone. The way to train them to wait calmly is not to greet the excited, jumping, licking behavior with human excitement.
That's true.
I almost said excrement. That would be better. You should meet the dog's behavior
poop
with
at them. Yeah, they're super excited, and you're like, take a face load of this.
But to anticipate the behavior and create a new routine where the dog feels relaxed and secure. Mm-hmm. So you're on board with all this. Amy's really right up your alley here. Buster needs to understand and respect that you are now part of the pack and that he doesn't need to protect his human from you. Counter conditioning might work over time. This is where you basically retrain your dog to associate a challenging situation. You're in bed with a great outcome. He gets a treat for lying calmly on his dog bed. I don't know, man. I think we're past that point. Yeah. I don't think the dog's going to lie
10 years.
You're right.
Right? She adopted
10 years.
10 years.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. That shit ain't happening.
No.
Do not punish him or force him into his crate when he is distressed. This will only compound his behavior. The humans involved need to exhibit controlled, cool, calm, and firm but kind leadership. This is why observing how a human interacts with a dog reveals so much about the human. So see, she's basically saying I'm a shithead because of the way I treat dogs. I got to turn it back on myself.
Yeah. This guy could easily not fix.
Oh, we just did that to our dog.
With some treats and some patience, they could easily find and understand. I just the dog is sensing that this guy doesn't like the dog.
Well, he certainly needs to try something else. Either, like you said, it ain't gonna work.
She needs to try someone else.
That, or I don't want to be grim here, but what's the lifespan? Dog's been around for 10 years.
Yeah,
he might just have
true.
to wait it out another year and he's good.
It's true, but then it's going to even be worse because she's going to be heartbroken. He's be like, cool, let's move on. And she's going to be like, you know what? You never loved that dog, which means you never loved me. And now
You're
dog
glad
is gone,
Buster's
and
gone.
he's going to get dumped. So she made him stay with the whole life of the dog and then's like,
Yeah.
And then she's going to go get another dog.
Well, I was going to say they could go
And
get a
another
dog
boyfriend.
together. They could go get the dog together. Maybe that would help.
Not with that guy.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening to our show. You can find us and share your thoughts at Reasons Are. Neil is.
At AngelsFreak7.
Email us your questions at reasonsaredebatable@gmail.com. Please subscribe, review, and all that shite. And we will be back next week.
See ya.